Today we're going to be looking at a pair of strollers from Cybex, the Eezy S2 and the Eezy S Plus 2. While both of these models are part of a wider family of Cybex strollers built off the same basic chassis design, they actually occupy somewhat different categories with regards to use, with the regular S2 aimed more at the ultra-compact travel market, and the S Plus 2, with its larger wheels and larger front and rear frames, allowing the model to deal with slightly rougher conditions, targeting the small-size daily use market. So let's have a look. As usual, kicking off our comparison with some stats. The regular Eezy S2 clocks in at 59 by 45 by 35 centimeters versus 61.5 by 45 by 43 centimeters on the Plus version. Note here that though the regular S2 folds smaller, it's still not sufficiently small enough to qualify as cabin luggage according to the standards set by the International Air Traffic Association. As far as weight and weight capacities are concerned, both of these models are more or less identical, with the regular S2 weighing in at 7.3 kilos versus 7.6 on the Plus version, and both having maximum load capacities of 22 kilos. The seats for both the S2 and the Plus 2 are identical, and in fact we won't get to any actual differences between these models really until we get all the way down to the wheels and the lowest portions of the chassis, though these lower differences do have a minimal effect on comfort higher up as well, in the form of a slightly higher seat positioning as well as a slightly higher handle on the Plus version. In comparison to the wider market then, the seats of both of these models are decently sized in comparison to the majority of ultra-compacts out there, but are somewhat outclassed by a few competing models on the small-size daily market. Both the regular S2 and the Plus version offer full reclines, at least the European versions do, as well as adjustable leg rests and canopies providing relatively decent sun coverage. Though again, as with seat size, it's important to look at differences in the market categories within which these two models will be competing, as far as ultra-compacts go, the canopy of the Eezy S2 is pretty standard with regards to sun coverage, but when we're talking about small-sized daily strollers, including an extra extendable portion zipped into canopies is a bit more widely used, making the S Plus 2 only average by comparison. As far as the materials used for the seats are concerned, this can be a little subjective, but I would say it's a bit of a you get what you pay for situation, with neither the fabrics and padding nor the corrugated plastic of the internal support boards offering anything extra in the way of comfort or longevity. As far as other aspects of comfort and functionality are concerned, the slightly larger proportions of the Plus 2 give it a small advantage regarding the accessibility of the shopping basket, and a much larger advantage when it comes to drivability. The wheels on the plain S2 are very small, you see, and even though Cybex advertises it as a city stroller, like most ultra-compacts, these wheels will still struggle in rougher urban conditions, like areas where the pavement is poorly maintained, as well as parks and gravel, while the larger wheels of the Plus 2 mean that the model is better capable of tackling such environments, at least while the stroller is still new and tight. The star of both of these models, as with most Cybex strollers, is that one-hand fold, which does make folding very easy for those who absolutely need such a feature and who are also willing to accept the structural weaknesses it takes to build this sort of a system. Okay, we're going to move on to the mechanics then, looking at both of these models from top to bottom. The handle, the folding system, and the overall structure of the chassis on these two models are identical, like the seats. And since the regular Eezy S2 is the original design, the Plus version being a minor modification, and was originally built as an ultra-compact model, the most correct way to look at the decisions dominating the overall design of these two models, in my opinion, is that they've been built primarily with the fold in mind, and with an emphasis on maintaining tight light limitations with regards to weight and space. The fold on these models then is activated via the button at the center of the handle, which pulls on a pair of internal wires to unlock the main folding hinges a little lower on the arms. While the internal complexity of the wires and the central button can sometimes lead to problems, the true weakness of the folding system on these models comes from the locking hinges on the arms themselves, which are responsible not only for locking the strollers upright, but also for locking them closed. These mechanisms are prone to take a lot of kinetic vibrations from the environment, as well as to take a lot of pressure and stress as other areas further down the chassis begin to loosen from the natural process of wear, which is exacerbated by the fact that both of these models are constructed of relatively weak aluminum bars, generally riveted together at lower hinging points with a minimum of crossbars controlling horizontal symmetry. If you would like a fuller explanation of how these models are likely to wear down as a result of their overall construction, I recommend that you watch our standalone review for the Plus 2 model, where we go over specific points of weakness applicable to both of these strollers. Okay, we're going to have a little bit of a closer look at the rear frame then, and this is the first real point where we can see some variance between these models, at least in terms of proportions, if not performance. Both models have decently sized suspension units, though note that this matters a bit more on the Plus version, as a smaller wheel size on the regular S2 will prevent one from driving the model in those environments where it might come in handy. As far as the brakes are concerned, both models make use of the same rotation-based system, which is preferable in comparison with wire-based systems as they are less susceptible to wear. But the proportional differences between these two models again come into play in that the smaller wheels of the regular S2 have made it necessary for a slightly different orientation between where the wheels attach to the rear frame in relation to the brake pins. As a result, the pins on the regular S2 have to protrude a little further to engage the wheels, which positively has led them to being constructed of solid metal rather than the common Cybex design of plastic-coated wire, as can be seen on the Plus version, though negatively also increases the chance of the pins bending or damaging the teeth on the inside facing of the wheels. When it comes to the front frames, both of these models incorporate the standard suspension built into the forks, but again, this will be a bit more relevant with the Plus version due to wheel size. As far as swivel locks are concerned, the regular S2 doesn't have any, while the Plus version uses a sliding clamp located on the inside facing of the frame. The wheels of both of these models are a bit loose, right out of the box, both in terms of how they lock into the housings, as well as in terms of how the wheels themselves sit within the forks, and in this latter case, they are riveted within the forks, meaning that fixing the situation would require drilling and replacing the axles. This looseness, as I also explained in our standalone review of the Plus model, is what I believe to be the first entrance point for serious wear issues with these models, as in addition to making driving a lot more rickety, this looseness greatly increases the amount of jitters and jolts applied to all the other connection points on the chassis. So which of these models would I recommend choosing? If you haven't guessed so far, my answer is neither of them. In addition to all the structural weaknesses I described, my general opinion of both of these models is that neither really competes well within their respective market categories. Without folding down to within cabin luggage guidelines, the regular S2 will not really be that useful as an ultra-compact travel stroller. And if what you're going for is an oversized ultra-compact anyway, then there are far sturdier options out there for nearly the same price. When it comes to the Plus 2, since it is virtually the same as the regular S2 other than a 33% price hike, the model is easily outclassed by the majority of the small size daily market, which generally consists of models built just a tad larger but a great deal sturdier. In any case, we hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, we ask you subscribe, as it helps us to continue making videos in the future. In addition, if you are currently shopping for a stroller, we have a buyer's guide on our Patreon page which lists a wide range of models that we recommend, with a lot of technical and lifestyle related information. You can find it by following the link in the description. Thank you.